and welcome to Lety Does Jumanji. So, I am here at my local drive-in theater with Shaggy, of course. Shaggy. Hey, Shaggy, say hello. And we're here to see Jumanji. So, right now, there is currently still some previews going on, as you can kind of hear from the background and stuff. But I think it's going to be starting pretty soon. So, I'm super excited to see this movie because I loved the first Jumanji, and honestly, the sequel just seems pretty awesome to me. I've only seen a couple trailers and I'm already super, hyped up for it, and everyone seems really badass. And of course, I love Karen Gillan and Dwayne Johnson and pretty much everyone that's going to be in this film. So, I think it's going to be freaking awesome, but I'm going to watch the movie, and then immediately after, I'm going to let you know what's up and tell you what I think of it. But for right now, I got my popcorn that Shaggy and I have actually already gotten started on because you really like popcorn, don't you, buddy? Don't you, little buddy? There you go. There is your popcorn. And of course, I got my drink over here, and yeah, movie's gonna start soon, so I will let you know after. Oh my gosh, guys, it's starting! Are you excited, Shaggy? Are you excited, Shaggy? Alright guys, so the movie just ended, and I gotta say, I really liked it. But before I get onto all the details as to why I like it and why it's so amazing, I'm just gonna try to give a summary of the movie the best I can. And I'm trying out this new thing where I'm doing it in my car so I can remember as much as possible. But I still suck at explaining and summarizing. So sorry in advance if I miss anything. Sorry in advance if this doesn't make any sense. But I'm gonna do my best. So let's get started. Alright, so the movie begins in what I assume is Alan's old house. And it's been years, and a father finds Jumanji, the board game, in his attic and gives it to his son. But when his son doesn't want to play it, overnight Jumanji transforms itself into some video game, and when Alex finally decides to play it, he gets sucked in. And then we have a time skip to, I don't know, 20 years after, and we meet these four kids: Fridge, Spencer, Bethany, and Martha. And they all go to high school together, and for different reasons, they end up getting sent to detention. And in detention, they're really bored, so they find the Jumanji video game and they all decide to play it. They get sucked into the game, and each of them having their own special abilities of their avatar, just kind of learn to use them and learn to take advantage of that. So with a couple of missteps along the way, they manage to get pretty far into the game, until the game stops them from continuing because they have to find a missing piece, which later turns out to be Alex, who has been stuck in the game for 20 years and doesn't even know it. So each of the avatars are given 3 lives, and Alex is actually on his last one. So for the last 20 years, he's just been really paranoid and staying inside of the Jumanji game because he doesn't want to die in real life. So this entire time, they were given the objective of the game where they have to find this, or they have to transport this jewel that was taken from a jaguar statue and keep it away from this villainous guy and put it back into the statue. So the entire time, they're being chased by this villainous guy, and Alex, who spent the last 20 years in the game, knows the game pretty well, and he's actually pretty scared of him. So they all decide that now, since they're all together, they can beat the game. And with all of their combined abilities, they are able to get themselves to the final stage of the game, but not before Alex dies of his weakness, mosquito bites, or nearly dies before Bethany gives him her life force. That's just how it works in the game. Anyway, so all of them are on their last life, and they manage to get away from the bad guy and put the jewel back into the jaguar statue, and then they save Jumanji and are teleported back into the real world. So in the real world, all 4 of the friends end up back in their detention room, but they realize that Alex isn't there. And upon wondering what had happened to him, they go and find out that Alex was actually put back into real life in 1996 when he had left. So he's already a grown adult and he already has a family, and it's presumed that actually when he was spit back out into the game, he was spit back into his own timeline, and he was actually able to live his entire life up to being an adult after this game. So 20 or so years later, he recognizes these 4 kids who are coming towards him, and he thanks them for what they've done, and the kids go on with their lives, I suppose, and so does he. And yeah, that is basically the entire movie. So, premise for the movie was actually pretty simple. You know, they get sucked into the game and they manage to get out. And, you know, there is a lot of plot things that you just have to watch to kind of understand because of the kids' personalities before going into the game, and then them, I guess, taking traits from their avatars and just how different they are in real life and making them more modest or more brave or more confident. And I thought that was really interesting because first they did it really funny. This movie was really funny, I gotta say that right now. It was absolutely hilarious just seeing all the actors act so differently than they usually do, except for maybe Chris Hart, who is always upset, or Kevin Hart, who seems to always be upset and making jokes about how short he is. So they did keep that, and they did play on that a lot for his character in the game as well. But it was so weird seeing Dwayne Johnson just make all these emotions and freaking out like as if he was a, you know, teenager. And of course, Jack Black was absolutely hilarious pretending to be a media-obsessed, self-absorbed teenage girl. And that was pretty great. And then, of course, well, Cara Gillian, no, she's, nah. It was weird seeing her, not as confident as she usually is. And usually she's playing, like, you know, Nebula, and she's cool and cutthroat. But in this one, they had her make so many strange facial expressions and just do so many awkward things. I'd never seen her be so awkward, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So the mix of actors was amazing. But I mean, even without this being Jumanji, they did really take some, I want to say, liberties to make the story work. So really the only hint that we have at the previous Jumanji movie is that when they go into the game and they find out Alex has just been in his little hideout the entire time, Alex remarks that he didn't make the hideout, that it was actually built by Alan while Alan was in the game. And that's kind of interesting. I did take that as a tribute to Robin Williams. You know, it did feel like it was just placed there to kind of honor him and to honor the first Jumanji movie. But aside from that, the story is completely different. And of course, I feel like the game, they did manage to keep it as like cutthroat as the first game, and I think they translated that really well for it being a video game, because they had like NPCs in there and they would be really repetitive and annoying, and then like some of the NPCs wouldn't advance their dialogue until specifically Spencer or Bravestone talked to them, and I thought that was really great. So translating the whole, I guess, the controls for a game and the layout of a video game into a movie, this did it really, really well, and I thought that that was pretty dang great. And of course, it was super hilarious as well, so that really helped and that really added to it. But, yeah, I also like that they made the game kind of like, I feel like they made the game more sentient, I want to say. In the first movie, it was more like, you know, the game wants to kill us because that's the rules of the game. We advanced in the game and so-and-so or meet so-and-so happens, and then they are faced with that trial, or they have to get past that challenge. However, in this one, it feels like now that they're in the game, it's almost like a demon that's trying to absorb people into its little box, and that's how it's able to transform into a video game or make itself more appealing so that people want to play it. And that's really creepy, because while they're in the game, the main villain of the game almost seems like, well, I think he does know exactly what's happening, because he says something at the end like, you don't get to go home. So the game itself is very aware of what it is and what it's trying to do, and it's just playing a role, and it's just playing along for the sake of keeping up the aesthetic. So that was really creepy. That was pretty great. Something I didn't mention in my review was that at the end of this movie, they smashed the video game into a bunch of pieces. But I didn't feel like that was very impactful, because honestly, if they really, really, really wanted to, they could just make it come back together or something, and it's like it never happened. But as of right now, it seems like no one can enter the game anymore. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. This entire movie was really, really good, and I was really glad that I saw it. So, if you've seen Jumanji, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you loved it, and if you didn't love it, why? And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you. So, thank you so much for watching this video, and for liking and subscribing, of course, and I'll see you next time. Say goodbye, Shaggy. He's tucked away in his little blanket. This is Shaggy's blanket now. Goodbye!
Hello, I am T'Challa, King of Wakanda, and I wanted to say thank you for watching my mommy's video. If you would like a juicer, you can subscribe to my mommy's channel by clicking that